Welcome back and to our discussion and this industrial partnership initiative that gather Egypt, the United Arab Emirates and Jordan. And to highlight the issue, we have with us over the phone Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister and the Secretary General of the Arab Investors Union. Good afternoon to you, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you so much. And this industrial partnership initiative that we have followed up during last week, how do you view the significance of such a partnership, of course, in light of the global crisis we are witnessing at this very particular time?
Very important, and we have some positive elements there. Not the least that the Emirate is one of the largest investors in Egypt, and the relation is highly good. This whole country was established in the 70s with the help of all the leaders and the Arab leading countries, of course, with Egypt. Until now, we have tens of thousands of Egyptians living there, and they invest, they work. Also, if you look around in the streets of Cairo, you will see immediately many Emirate companies. And here we want to draw some lines. Of course, Emirate is among the largest investors in Egypt. But we have a problem with the whole attitude of the Arab investment, that our first priority is services. We establish always household premises. We establish banks, but we never go to industry. So we need, this is the secret of the visit, industry. We want to establish industries. Why? If you study well the figures of what we are importing in the Arab world, you will find that 70% of what we are importing we do not produce. We do not produce three main elements. Machines, we don't produce machines for textile or for yarn, while we are a good producer of them. We do not produce, the second item is ways of transport. We don't produce cars or ships or whatever. The third is food. We have to invest on food because we have a food security gap in the Arab world much more than $40 billion annually. So that's I am satisfied with such a meeting because it draws line. It shows how every single Arab investor is looking to us, and also we have to listen. We need to listen to see what are the opportunities and the obstacles. Yes. And of course, our ability to use new money coming to Egypt is limited by many things, by roads, by transport, by our banking system still needs to be up to the international level. Many things. Have you ever heard about the name of Ambassador Hamdi Louza? Hamdi Louza is a Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs. And 55 years ago, he made this point when he was just studying in the diplomatic institute, saying that we need to expand our ability to use money in our system. So, since 55 years we are talking about that. By the way, I remember
this time, Your Excellency, this time is different. Since we are seeing this industrial integration partnership that has seen Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed giving directions for the establishment of an investment fund of $10 billion. We are speaking here about industry, which is or should be the backbone of any economy to rise. And the 5 key sectors they've been speaking about were the agriculture, food, fertilizers, pharmaceutical, the clothing and textiles, also the petrochemicals and metals. Those are the 5 main sectors they spoke about industrial projects within. So this is why we are speaking about a very significant partnership that would illustrate more into the coming stage. How do we need such a partnership? How do we need to have a kind of integration in particular projects, particularly within what we are speaking about, industry?
Yes, this is my point. Of course, it is very good that they are discussing all these priorities, but what if I come to you saying that I want to invest on the car industry? What if I come to you to say that I want to establish more and more factories to produce house effects like frigidaires or washing machines or dishwashers and so on? Why not? So, of course, we are drawing the main lines. Same time, we do not neglect any new ideas for those who are coming to invest on cars which are using solar energy, for instance, or which are using gas. This is the importance of such a meeting, especially that our Prime Minister met some businessmen also, because the businessmen are telling us all the practical opportunities they are facing or they are seeing, or also the obstacles which they are complaining about. And we have a lot. We have to respect ourselves and confess that we have a lot of obstacles, and to make all the efforts in order to make the life of an investor easier. Once we asked some main investors coming from Europe, what are the main things you are complaining about? They said in countries like Egypt, bureaucracy is the first obstacle. It takes a lot of time until you get a sort of permission to start in order to get electricity line, in order to get this or that. Second, our banking system, it needs a big push in order to come up to the level of the international lines. I personally remember that our central bank has a sort of partnership and twinning with the Central Bank of Europe in order to see how many hours, how many minutes an investor will keep his money in the bank since he comes with his first $1 million until he got his first $1,000 as profits. So this is very important in order to save time. We waste his time, and our system must be ameliorated in order to face all these small obstacles.
So we're speaking here about the challenges that should be really targeted or aimed for at this next stage. We're speaking here about legislative and monetary amendments or a review to those two parts with regard to the investment system. Right, Your Excellency?
Yes, right. And this is, again, the importance of the dialogue. As long as the dialogue is continuing, this is a good sign that we are on the right track. And I think our Prime Minister and our ministers, when I listen to them, I see that they are putting their finger on the right position, whether it is a sort of attraction or it is a sort of obstacle. So continuing the dialogue with the investor, it's very important. Yes. One more thing I want to stress, that we have to ask our mass media to make a sort of information, much better information, to the public. Because if you read the Facebook nowadays, they are jealous. Why we invest, why we invite foreigners to come to buy our property? Why don't we use it with Egyptian money? Egyptian money is good, but it's not enough to face 25 million children we gave birth in the last 10 years. So we need Egyptian money, of course, and we are encouraging the Egyptian money. As you have seen lately, billions of Egyptian pounds were in the banks now to support investment, but it is not enough to cover all our wish to go to such industries you are aiming at. Also, we need Europeans to come. Also, we need Japanese and Chinese and American. Why? Because they have the technology. It's not only the money. We need the technology. We need the famous car producers to come and to produce in our country. This is very important also.
Yes. Your Excellency, I understand very much what you're speaking about here, but from your point of view, putting priorities for projects that we need at this upcoming stage, because we're speaking here about crises that are reflecting on certain sectors. So isn't it the situation worldwide that they put the projects that are targeting the sectors that will be really hard hit by the crisis? How do you view the importance of initiating more and more regional and global industrial partnership as such, and particularly between Arab countries and the whole world? So those are two questions, by the way.
Okay. Of course, we are keen to have cooperation within the international community, United Nations and its branches, the WTO, GATT, UNIDO, all these organizations are helping us. On the regional dimension, we have the big umbrella of the Arab League. And by the way, against what somebody are saying, the Arab League is doing fine concerning the free trade area. Not many people know that the Arab free trade area made our trade much better. Now we have 3 times the volume of the Egyptian trade with Arabs exempted from custom duties. We have the African track, and now during the Egyptian presidency, we established the big free trade area in Africa. All these efforts are very good. Now you see that it's not Egypt and Emirates, it's Egypt, Emirates and Jordan. You have another track, Egypt, Jordan and Iraq. You have a third one within the European Mediterranean policy. It is Jordan, Egypt, Tunisia and Morocco. Those who are ready, strong economically enough in order to go further and deeper and wider. This is very important. And of course, we are for it. You have to educate the people, because you are talking about priorities. Some people are saying, why we have so much roads? You have to have so much roads, because if you are going to produce, how you are going to export your production without roads, without trains, without highways, without bridges? This is very important. But I would advise those who are keen to know to open the page of the Ministry of Planning. You will see that there is a plan, there is a vision, how we are going to invest in every village in Egypt and every small town in Egypt. So it's not that when the news today is talking about bridges or roads that we are concentrating only on roads, or the new capital. All of these projects are important, and we are going to all directions at the same time.
Yes, we're speaking here about foreign reserves and bringing in foreign currency to the country in this way. If I may ask you here about also one important issue is the contribution of the private sector, because we have seen lately the Prime Minister speaking about increasing the participation of the private sector from 30% to 65%. That was very much illustrated by Dr. Madbouli. Plus, of course, the Arab countries at large are seeking the contribution of the private sector. When we speak about the private sector, we're speaking about the local and the international at large. How do you view the importance of such a step and the importance of the contribution of the private sector at this next stage?
It is very important, and as you will know, I am from Damietta. No man from Damietta would work to a government. They all of them, they have their very small production place. And I tell you another secret. If I feel by the 60s and the 50s, last decade, that our government is, or our community is appreciating the private sector, I wouldn't be a diplomat. I would have go to make my own production and my own ethic in Damietta itself. But I see that we do not yet succeed to give the investor, especially the private, that's very small, like Gamal Bayoumi, the impression that we are welcoming him. All of us, we want the government to do the job. All of us, we want the Egyptian money only. So you have to put this clear as a mass media. The government must talk to us much, much more than it is doing now.
Yes. Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Minister and Secretary General of the Arab Investors Union, we thank you so much for being with us on the phone. Thank you. And before we continue on with our discussion, let's have this report and we'll come back for more.
During an official visit to the United Arab Emirates last week, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli witnessed the signing of a tripartite cooperation pact within an Egyptian-Jordanian-UAE Industrial Integration Partnership Initiative for Sustainable Economic Development between the three countries. The signing ceremony was attended by Jordanian Prime Minister and the United Arab Emirates Minister of Industry. Speaking at the ceremony, Madbouli said that the deal is a model for Arab economic integration to face the current challenges. In his speech, Madbouli also reviewed the most significant development steps in Egypt during the past 5 years, especially in the field of industry and food security. He reiterated that despite the coronavirus pandemic and the global crises, 50,000 operation licenses have been issued, allowing for 2.5 million job opportunities. Meanwhile, United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan had received Prime Minister Madbouli and Jordanian Prime Minister Dr. Bishr Al Khasawna upon their arrival to the country. During the talks, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed praised the industrial integration partnership, saying it would give fruitful outcomes for the peoples of the three countries. United Arab Emirates Minister of Industry Sultan Al Jaber said that the partnership pact is expected to double investments among the three states. Bin Zayed gave directions for the establishment of an investment fund with $10 billion to implement the projects of the Industrial Integration Partnership Scheme. For this part, the Jordanian minister said that the meeting highlighted the importance of joint work and trade exchange between the three countries. Earlier, Madbouli held a meeting with a number of United Arab Emirates investors to brief them on promising investment opportunities in Egypt and incentives offered by the government to attract further businesses.